Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tell Me Yours, a storytelling podcast with me, your host, Trey Everett. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tell Me Yours. I am your host, Trey Everett. Couple quick announcements before we jump into today's episode. I did want to remind everyone that my publisher is still offering Tell Me Yours podcast listeners 20% off of my novel Beneath the Surface. Head over to blackrosewriting.com. Use the promo code Tell Me Yours to get that discount. Also, I'm so excited to announce that I have officially started streaming on Twitch. I play music, I have chats, so if you're free on Tuesday nights around 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and you want to come hang out with me on Twitch, I will be there live streaming every Tuesday. Would love to have you come hang out. Today on the pod, I have such an awesome guest for you. She is an incredible singer-songwriter, musician, artist, vocalist, actress. She is incredible. She does everything, and she also happens to be a really dear friend. Without further ado, please welcome to the pod, Kara Connolly.
Write for other people of like, oh, did you write this project by yourself? I'm like, yeah, I did. Then they're like, well, why don't you come write for this artist or this person or this person? And then once you say yes to one of those opportunities, it leads to another thing. Like, you get how it goes. Like when you say 100%, yes to something, then people see you in that light,
which is the goal, like which is the thing that we all strive for. And then sometimes we get it and we're like, oh man, like I'm tired. Like,
yeah. And I think I just said yes because I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, sure, of course I'm gonna write for projects and do all this stuff. But then the interesting paradox, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. Hopefully I am. Some grammar nerd can tell us, but like hopefully, like the paradox is then that I'm like, yes, that's so cool. I want to do it. I love it. And I do love it. And I love listening to people's stories. And I love like trying to get to the core of like what we're talking about and find the puzzle piece of like how to make that land and how that comes across. But then I feel like it can be sometimes emotionally a little heavy because you're talking about like heavy topics, or you're talking for like 2 hours every time before you write the song or whatever. So I sometimes find that at the end of it, I'm like, I don't have as much left to write my song.
Yeah.
Like for my own artist project. So that's kind of the struggle. Cause for me, it was like, I was always going into this with like wanting to express my own story and own truth. And through that, I've ended up expressing my own and then also like helping others express their stories. And that's like so freaking cool. And I love it. And I don't think it's negative in any capacity. It's just the balance of now trying to figure out like, okay, so if this is my job, then when do I find the time to like actually go deeper with myself? Because like all I'm doing is like thinking about the music industry.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. And what a brilliant segue into loving to hear other people's stories. Feeling like sometimes you can't tell your own, and now you're going to tell me one of your stories. It's perfect.
It's a perfect segue. I didn't even realize.
I love it so much. Kara, you're the best. It's always so great to chat with you. It's just great to see you. And
so
Zach, I love you guys.
You always have such a good energy. It's like
I
so
really
fun.
appreciate that.
And I'm so grateful to like be on this. And when you told me the idea for the podcast, I was like, that is so cool, because I feel like at the core of what I do, I really feel like a storyteller more than anything else.
Absolutely. Okay, so that being said, that's the reason that we're connecting today, is because you are going to tell me a story.
Yes, I have many stories, but I'm going to tell you a specific story today.
Perfect. We'll have you on again. You can tell me something.
I'll tell hundreds of stories on this.
This whole podcast just becomes you telling me stories.
It's a book of Kara. They're like, that girl just like stop telling her. Just stop talking.
I love it so much.
I know you had told me like we could talk about any kind of story, right? 100%. You were like any genre, anything. I was like, that's cool. I'm into it. So I have a story for you. And
Perfect.
If it segues to other stories, it segues to other stories.
That's what happens
with a good story. But when I was younger, I won 2 goldfish at the San Diego County Fair, like feeder goldfish, like, you know.
You grew up in San Diego?
I grew up in San Diego, cool. Yes. And I was a huge animal lover, like still am, but but not even to the degree that I was. Like I am now, but I was like obsessed.
Yeah.
To an unhealthy level. So it's like good I'm where I'm now.
Yeah.
But like I would go to the pet store for like fun by myself, you know? Like I was that kind of girl, like at the pet store, like when all my friends were like going to parties and like sleepovers. I'm like, yo, mom, like drop me off at the pet store.
They got a new shipment of hamsters today.
Yes, literally. No,
I know. I get it. Yeah.
Like literally, that's not even an exaggeration. And then I'd play with them, and then I'd write my parents essays on like why I should get a certain pet. So anyway, I ended up acquiring 2 like feeder goldfish, not even like the fancy ones, like just like the ones that you see at the pet store that people like literally feed to their pet snakes and turtles or like whatever. You know, most people put those goldfish in like little bowls, circle bowls, and they die like within a couple days or a week or whatever. And I had them in a bowl for a bit, and I would kind of like obsessively clean it because like I said, I was like obsessed. So they ended up living longer than the average goldfish in a bowl. And through that, I ended up becoming like, I just like started becoming very curious about goldfish care. Like I was like such an animal nerd that I would like, oh my God, wait, I have to show you this. Hold on.
Goldfish care. Just the concept of goldfish care is so
well, this is so funny because just as I started to say this, I realized that I have this book like right next to me.
Oh no.
It says animal. But like, and I was about to be like, oh, I used to buy like animal books. And then I like looked over and I realized like, okay,
it's here.
Here. But yeah, anyway, like I will buy books like this, but like dedicated to goldfish care. And it would be like facts about goldfish, like
that
whatever.
Is incredible.
So I had like a giant encyclopedia of goldfish. And I quickly realized that like, you're not actually supposed to put goldfish in a goldfish bowl. It has something to do with like the surface area being affecting their ability to breathe in the water. Like the surface area actually is supposed to be as wide as the tank to allow like the air to.
Interesting.
And goldfish are like some of the dirtiest, messiest fish. They cause like the ammonia in the water to spike because they're so dirty.
Yeah.
And so you really shouldn't have them in like this big of a bowl. And also they should be in like a filtration system where the water's like being filtered. And also they can become really large fish. So like they should be in like large tanks. Like they shouldn't be in a bowl.
Wow.
So anyway, that's like why a lot of people's fish die in like a week or a few days. Sense. Also, they don't change the water enough. And then like the water's just sitting there and like the ammonia spikes, which basically kills the fish. Like that's like that's like a pretty like unscientific explanation for you.
I don't know, it sounded pretty scientific to me. I'm no goldfish expert, but that sounds pretty scientific.
This is my TED Talk. Your goldfish are dying. This is why. And then I'll show like a PowerPoint.
So good.
So anyway, I learned this. And so I told my dad, I was like, Dad, we need to go to like the specialty fish store, which was like 45 minutes away from us. And I made him drive me there. And we bought not one, but 2 separate 10-gallon tanks.
Okay.
10-gallon. Just envision this. Like they're big. Like they're
huge. Yeah.
And my dad's like, where are we going to put this? I'm like, well, they're going to go on the kitchen counter and they're going to be like next to each other, like in like kind of like an L shape. And my dad's like, well, why can't we just get one and put both the goldfish in it? And I was like, no, they have to be separate. And at the time I was like, really like in retrospect, I'm like, they probably didn't need to be separate. Like they had been alive for quite some time. And like, they probably could have like been together and had fun and like been friends and had like some social interaction as opposed to like being completely alienated from other fish. But like, but I like was very like committed to, cause I was like, they can't be in the same tank because like then their chances of getting a disease increases because if one gets a disease, it's inevitable that the other's going to get a disease. 100%. So I was like, they need to be separate, but I was like, but they can look at each other. So I was like, but we can put the tank, but we can put the tank facing each other.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. Somehow my dad allows me to do this. So we go to the
store. Which is incredible already, by the way. The fact that you guys even came home with 2 tanks. Like if it was my dad, he'd be like, first of all, no, we're not doing this. Second of all, I'm definitely not getting 2. We'll get 1. It'll be fine.
And
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
really complex, like because you have to like set up a filtration system
Yeah.
and there's like a whole thing to it. So, and you have to clean then 2 tanks, which is
Yes.
like really not easy to clean 2 10-gallon tanks. Like you need a lot of water. You also need like these giant buckets to like siphon out the water because you can't
Yes.
really just like pour the water out. It's freaking heavy. Like once the water's in there, like it's in there. So we would like siphon the water. So anyway, became like obsessed. I told my dad, I was like, if we want these goldfish to live, which he's like, I don't really
Like,
care.
I really don't. Like,
Yeah, I
don't.
actually hope they
I
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These things should have died 6 years ago, Kara.
Yeah, like he's like hoping, like praying, but like we end up, so I'm like, we need to get reverse osmosis water, which is like this specialty water at the goldfish store that's like really expensive. And you have to like carry these like gallons. We would get like 5 gallons. You have to change the tank like once a week. So that means you need to get 4 of these 5-gallon containers once a week. And this fish store is about 45 minutes away. You have to fill up your own reverse osmosis water. It's like a specialty, like fancy goldfish store for people that have like giant, like saltwater tanks in their houses. Not like goldfish for me. So
2 goldfish that you won at the fair.
yeah.
That they handed you in a plastic bag.
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm so into this.
So my dad somehow, both my parents allow me to do this. Like, I don't know. They're like, I think they just knew if they didn't that I would have like a panic attack.
It would be a problem. Yeah.
It'd be a problem like mentally. So and still it was a problem mentally, but like, but they were like, okay, so we went and got the reverse osmosis water. You have to like, you know how people take probiotics?
Mm-hmm.
You can put like probiotics regularly into the water to like increase the good bacteria in the tank, which like prevents it, basically helps it to not like ammonia spike or like get diseases. But it's expensive, like to buy like goldfish probiotics, fish probiotics. So we would get these like big like probiotic things. We would put good bacteria in. We would put like immune boosting like supplements in the water, like because I was like, Dad, we need this, like, you know. So he's like, okay, fine.
These are like the healthiest goldfish in the history of goldfish.
Yes, but these goldfish, like both of them were like, I swear to God, they had like 9 lives. Like they were on the verge of death many times. And like my dad was like, say your goodbyes. What happens? Like things die. And then I'd be like, no, he's alive. You know, and then he'd start.
Your parents are like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say they were on the verge of death several times. And I would like treat them. I was like a member of these like goldfish forums. Where I would like, I kid you not, I would take a picture of my goldfish in a video tank and I would be like, help. Like, you know, like be like, help, my goldfish is ill, you know. And then all these other like fish nerds that were like much older than me would be like, that's septicemia. Like, this is what you do to treat it. Like, and people would like post these pictures of their goldfish. But anyway, so my goldfish both ended up living to be about like 16 years old.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm not kidding. Because like, this is the other thing.
16?
Yeah. And if you treat the goldfish, you have to like take it out of the tank to specially medicate it, because having goldfish is like one of the most complicated animals you could have because they don't breathe the same air as us. So it's like, you have to like understand the biochemistry of the water if you want your fish to live. Insane. That's why fish die so fast, like because people don't understand how to do it. And like the thing, like it's insane, but like you cannot medicate. So if a fish is sick, they have certain medications for like different diseases. And you can, but it's really hard to decipher like what the fish has because it's like,
because it's a fish.
It's a fish. So you're like, my fish is ill. And I would like always have a sense, like I'd be like, Dad, it's ill. And my dad would be like, Kara, no, it's not. It's like, whatever. I'm like, no, it's swimming slightly differently. And then the next day it would like definitely be ill, like sitting on the bottom of the tank, upside down. And so, but you cannot treat the tank because if you treat the tank, it it's almost like, you know, when you take antibiotics and they say it kills like all the good bacteria and whatever. That's what happens to the tank. So if you treat antibiotics in the tank, the whole water becomes like, it becomes like dangerous, because like now all the good or like microorganisms that have like developed in this like mini like universe that you create have now all died. So like now you can like the fish can die so much easier. It's like so crazy. Gosh. You have to take the fish into like a separate tank, medicate it there. Then when it starts to get better, like put it back in the tank. But like the medicated tank, you have to like start it over again with the good bacteria. Because if you don't, then within 2 days, it could like spike and die. Like it's really complicated. Oh I'm like not even giving it justice of like how complicated this is. But I think I missed this, which is an important part of my story. But my goldfish, one of the I won them on like around Halloween. So one of the goldfish I named Jacko after like a jack-o'-lantern. Perfect. Naturally. And then my other goldfish I named NSYNC because I loved the band NSYNC. Brilliant. And I was like maybe in like 3rd or 4th grade and like was obsessed with NSYNC. Like, you know, that was like when they were at their prime, right? But when and I also thought I was being clever. Like I was like in sync with the water, like, you know, I was clever.
It's brilliant. It's 10 out of 10, no notes.
No notes. Perfect. So that's cool when you're like in 4th grade, right? But then like when you're in college and you bring your friends home from college, because mind you, they were still alive when I was in college. And I would bring my friends home to like meet my family and like see San Diego. And they'd be like, oh, what's your fish's name? And I'd be like, oh, that's NSYNC. And they would say things to me like, oh, like, I didn't realize you were like such a big fan. Like, because like they're thinking the fish is like 1 week old. Like they're not
like you just got this fish like last week. You're like, oh, no, I got this fish in 2006.
Yeah. Exactly. Like they're not realizing like, you know, that like this fish is like as old as us almost. Like, right. So like they're like, okay, crazy lady, right? But like I'm like, no, the fish, whatever. So lived a really long time. At some point, I went off to college, like I said. My dad had to take over the fish, which he already was kind of doing a lot with the fish because like he had to drive to like pet store, but he was like pissed because he's like, my God. Wait, so I have to like clean 220 like these like 10-gallon tank and like medicate the fish, and I'm like, Dad, if you don't do this, like, you know, I'm like, you have to take care of these fish because like there's no way in hell I could have brought these fish to like the dorms. There's just no way. Like these were no ordinary fish. Like you can't. So I'm like, Dad, like you have to take care of these fish. And he's like, oh my God, like, okay. Like, he's like, this is like a lot of responsibility, which it was. Yeah. And he honestly took on a lot of it. Like, even when I was in high school, I mean, I did a good chunk, but like I was at school a lot of the time. He was working full time as like a doctor for people, but like, meanwhile, he's like medicated goldfish.
Oh my God.
So like, he took care of them. And then I go off to college and I'm like, okay, I become a little more like chill because I don't have the fish like in front of me. So I'm not like, and all my pets, I had several pets at the time. I was like, okay, now they're like out of sight. I'm not taking care of them. I have way less responsibility now. So I'm in college and I like go to this frat party and I get a phone call from my dad. I think it was both my parents. I can't really remember, but they're like, Kara, NSYNC has died.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like crying at this frat party. And people I like barely know are like, Kara, like, are you okay? Like, what happened? And I'm like, my goldfish NSYNC died.
Oh my God. I am obsessed.
Like pretty soon like both of them have died because like things die. And I think I asked my dad like, what did you do? And he's like, Kara, they're 16 years old, like but he still reminds me of that. Like, I don't know, recently he was like, yeah, like Kara was in college and I told her fish died and she asked me like, what did you do? But the fish were like 16 years old.
Oh my God.
So Anyway, that happened. Now I'm out of college and I'm working at a Refinery 29 event.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what Refinery
Yeah,
29.
yeah, yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, it's like a publication.
Mhm.
I feel like a few years ago it was like even bigger than it is now. I don't actually know what's happened to it since. Maybe it's still around.
I feel like
Like,
Refinery 29 is one of those brands, and yeah, I mean, they're great, but I feel like they're one of those brands that you don't really think about, and then you see them, and you're like, oh yeah,
yeah, you're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
Refinery
all right,
29.
Refinery 29. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they were doing like a big event in Los Angeles, and I had somehow gotten like a job working the event, doing a bunch of ridiculous things. Like it
Hmm.
was probably the most ridiculous job I've ever had.
Yeah.
Um, oh my God, this story actually comes really funny, full circle. But I just like realized, like, I was like, I have another story that like leads from this, but like
So good.
I was at, and I didn't realize that, but I was at this Refinery 29 event, and I am working this booth or something, and I see Lance Bass, like the member of
Okay.
NSYNC.
Okay.
And I'm like, holy shit, this is my moment. Like, I have to tell him about NSYNC the fish, like in his honor, like the fish's honor,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Lance.
yeah, yeah. No, fuck Lance Bass and the fish's honor. I have to tell you this.
So I'm like, shit, like, should I tell him? I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, 'cause I also don't want to like get fired,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
also like I need to tell him
Yeah, this
because
is your moment.
it's my moment.
Yeah, this is your chance.
And also I'm like, I don't care about this job. Like, it's the
Yeah,
worst
yeah,
ever.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, somehow like go up. I don't remember what I said, but I like go up to Lance Bass,
Oh,
and like I told him, I was
my
like, I just need
gosh.
to let you know that like I had a goldfish named NSYNC. And he's like, oh my God, that's funny. He's like, I haven't really heard that one before. And then I'm like, yeah, and he lived 16 years. And Lance Bass is like, jaw drops to the floor, like, oh my God. And then he makes this joke about how the goldfish lasted longer than the band.
Oh no!
Just seems like the like perfect, like full circle moment, right?
Oh
Like
no!
instinct the goldfish lasted longer than the band. Oh, but it was like such a it was so funny. Like he was so funny.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible.
Yeah, but I felt like I feel like Instinct the goldfish like really had a full life as a goldfish. Like he
Absolutely.
was known by Insync,
Yes.
Lance Bass. Like what more could you ask
Yeah,
for the
he's been made
goldfish?
immortal. Yeah.
Yeah, like as a goldfish, like you've like hit the pinnacle, right?
Oh my gosh, that is really funny.
And then this is like not even this is a side story, but there's so much death in this story, but there's also like so much positivity. But like, side note, I had this dog that was a Papillon, like my favorite dog named
Okay.
Gizmo, grew up,
Great
also
name.
lived about
Great
16,
pet name.
17. Yeah, Gizmo. It's like really big ears, sort of like the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, sort of like the Gremlins. But
Hmm.
I just realized the way it connects, but while I was at the Refinery 29 event, in the middle of that job, I got a call from my parents that Gizmo had died.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like in sync, Jack goes Roger now fucking Gizmo. So like,
Oh no.
but at this point, I'm like, I hate this job. Like, this is so
Yeah.
stupid. I've like hit the pinnacle. I talked to Lance Bass. That was all this job was good for.
100%.
So I was like, I need to go home to like be with my family because I was like devastated. Like
Yeah.
I was like, and this job was like, you got up at like 4 a.m. and you were there for like 11 hours. Like it
Yeah.
was like definitely should be illegal. Like, and like you couldn't, like you were on your feet the whole day. Like it was like you couldn't, there was like no breaks. There was like, it
Mhm.
was just, I mean, maybe I'm a spoiled brat, but I was like, which is possible, but I was like, there is no way. Like, I'm like, who is this job? Like, and actually, a lot of people that were working this job were like, this is the worst job I've ever had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you had to be like so happy and smiley because they had like tons of influencers coming in and like
Uh-huh.
celebrities and like people were, it was just like a perfect microcosm of like how ridiculous our culture is, because people would come in and take pictures in front of like everything. And there were many people, multiple people that brought like 5 outfit changes to have different pictures in front of
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Yeah. And they brought like a professional photographer, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like actually. And so after like several days of this, I was like, I don't know that I can like mentally be here anymore, because it's like so ridiculous, like the way people are acting, and like
Yeah,
it's
100%.
it felt like Instagram in real life, like which it was,
Jeez.
if you can envision.
That
like
sounds terrible.
yeah. So Gizmo passed, and I was like, peace, like I'm leaving.
You're
And I
like,
was
Lance, real quick, and then I gotta go. Yeah.
and I'm like, death in the family, like
Yeah. See you guys.
like they probably realized that my dog died and were like, okay, like
Oh
like.
my gosh.
So I went home because I was like, my mom's devastated. Like everybody's so sad.
That's
It was
tough.
like our childhood dog.
Kara, you have over delivered. I assure you, all of that start to finish is perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So funny. I like to think that Lance Bass still tells people about that goldfish. He's like, man, I met
I
this
like to
girl
think
one
so
time,
too.
and
That's what I tell myself. Honestly, I'm like, Lance Bass still remembers.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. Oh my
I'm
gosh,
like,
that is
no,
so
he talks
funny.
about it all the time.
Anywhere you would prefer that I point people towards to find you and all of the many things that you do?
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Well, I have a website. It's just karaconnolly.com. Kara with a K, 2 O's, 2 N's, 2 L's.
Love that.
It's quite easy. I'm like, no one knows how to spell
I
Connolly.
love that so much.
2 O's, 2 N's. They're like cannoli.
Yeah.
It's hard. So yeah, like my website, but really just all my music is on like Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all the places you listen to music. I've got a lot of music videos on YouTube.
Perfect.
I've written a lot of songs for like other artists lately. There's a playlist on my Spotify that's like all the songs I've written for other artists. Yeah, like myself, my catalog plus like the songs that have come out already for like
that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And there's more coming, and definitely like lots of new music coming. So and more stories. I mean, gosh, like
I love it.
There's always stories.
There's
I feel like
stories.
There's always
love
stories.
it so much. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'll point people towards your website and your music, and then let them find everything
whatever they want
to find.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
So
Thank
good.
you. This is so fun.
You are the best. We got to actually like hang out.
Yeah, we seriously have to hang.
Because I also haven't seen Jack in ages.
I know. So what part of town? Where are you located currently?
Yeah, we're super close.
You need to like come over. Oh my God. I know. One day we'll do one of these in person.
Love it.
Where we'll like come, or you could tell me a story. It'll be a reverse. You'll be like, it'll be one of your podcast reverse.
There we
like,
go.
I'm telling a story.
I love it so
I'll
much.
listen and react. But yeah, we love Los Angeles. It's like the best. So
yeah, it's awesome.
We should all definitely hang and like go get dinner.
Would love to.
Yeah. We'll come over, whatever. Like it would be so fun. This was so much fun. So also I totally don't mind if this video is shared. I feel like I was
cool. Yeah. No, I usually will only share it on the Patreon. So like,
perfect. Yeah,
that's fine. Will obviously just be the podcast, but
yeah, I didn't know. I just was like wondering because I was like, okay, so how, I was like, am I in pajamas today?
No, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll keep you posted on when this comes out, and
yeah, keep me posted, and let's hang seriously soon. And are you doing any shows coming up or anything like that?
My band is playing so far in San Diego actually, but that's really the only thing that we have.
Oh wow, that's awesome though.
Yeah, that'll be super fun. We love playing those So Far sound shows. They're like,
I feel like those are like the most rewarding because they're just, it's like people are there, they're like ready to listen.
100%.
It's not like
the only it's like the only time we've really experienced playing and every single person there is just watching. You know what I mean?
Otherwise people are like talking at the bar.
100%.
Or it's like you have to like, you're like asking, like reaching out to every person being like, come to my show. And it's like, this is kind of annoying.
I know. So it's like, it's so nice to like not have to promote it at all. And we'll still have an audience that is literally just there to watch. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
they're
so
always so
great.
fun. They're always so fun.
Oh, that's
Um,
so awesome. I love that. Well, let me know when if you have like anything coming up around here, I'd be happy to come and
yeah,
support.
definitely, absolutely.
Are
Well,
you putting out any new music anytime soon?
we're gonna try and get into the studio. We don't really have any like timeline yet, but we probably have like 15 or 16 songs that are like ready to go. And so
Oh,
I think we're gonna
nice.
like figure out what we want to do, if we want to do like a couple EPs or if we just want to do an album.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm personally hoping by like beginning of next year we'll have something to put out, something new to put out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds awesome. Wow, that's great. Well, I can't wait to hear it. I love all your music.
Oh,
So
you're sweet. You're
I
very
can't wait to
sweet.
read the book too. I know Jack's reading it currently, and I was like, give it to me when you're
I
done.
love it. You're so sweet. That's so
Yeah, I can't. I
kind.
mean, it sounds really interesting. I was like, this is
Thank you
super
so
cool. Like,
much.
I can't believe you did that. That's such a big
I really
accomplishment. I
appreciate
mean,
it. Yeah, I really
seriously,
appreciate it.
like, wow. And I love, like I said, I love this idea for the podcast. I feel like sometimes with podcasts, they go like, because I used to have a podcast, but sometimes episodes would, because there wasn't like a main theme like that, it was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I don't know if anyone like, there's not like a guiding force for this episode.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's like sometimes it just goes like all over the place to the point where I'm like, I don't know if this is like now interesting to people,
Yeah.
but like this is like great because like people always like want to know the end of a story or like where this
Yeah.
is, so I feel like this is like a really cool idea
I
for
appreciate
your
it. I
podcast.
think I also have really enjoyed it too because like I said, like I've had actors, I've had musicians, I've had comedians, but the stories that they're telling usually have nothing to do with what they like
Work, yeah.
what they do. Yeah, and I love that so much just cuz like yeah, I just think it's like it's
Or
just
their
cool.
hobbies. It's interesting when it's
100%.
not about like a specific thing you would think it's like, oh yeah, that
100%.
person's gonna talk about music, or that's like it's cool and it's like so
Yeah.
not what you thought was
Yeah.
gonna come from
I
it.
love it. Kara, you're the best. I'll give you the rest of your day back, but this
Yeah,
was awesome.
no, this was so fun. I'm so glad we got to do this, and
I am too.
have a good rest of your day, and let's definitely like plan something soon because it would be really fun.
I would love that. I would love that. Tell Jack I said hi. I'll
I
see you
will.
guys
I'll
soon.
be like, you could make noise again.
All right, bye, Kara.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Kara, for sharing that incredible story. I loved every minute of it. If you want some extra time with Kara, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/tellmeyours. If you want to follow Kara, head over to Instagram. She is just at Kara Connolly. Check out her music on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you stream tunes. She's incredible. You will not regret it. I will throw some links in the show notes of this episode. If you want to follow us, Twitter and Instagram, we are at TellMeYoursPod. And just a reminder, I will be streaming live on Twitch every Tuesday, probably around 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you've got nothing to do on a Tuesday night and you want to hang out for some tunes and some chats, head over to twitch.tv/TreyEverett3 and come say hi. It'd be great to have you. That is all for me this week. Thank you again to Kara. Thank you for listening. And until next week, be kind to each other, and we'll talk soon.